Have you ever felt like you had all the pieces, money, career, access, but when it came to women, it just wasn't clicking? Or maybe you knew you weren't the type of guy who was going to go out and cold approach all night or run around during the day and hit on girls on the subway, the sidewalks, cafes, but the apps weren't working either. And you had no idea how to actually use your resources to your advantage. Well, if that's you, then you're going to want to listen to this episode because I'm sitting down with a client of mine. We're going to call him Alan, and we break down how he went from being stuck despite having every advantage to finally building real momentum in his dating life. This is a story about leverage, and more importantly, how most guys completely misuse it. Because what you'll see in this episode is that having money, status, or resources doesn't solve your dating problems right off the bat, unless you know how to correctly deploy them. And this is not for beginners who need to learn how to get their first dates. This is for the guy who knows he has value, but hasn't figured out how to turn that into real options, real connections, and a lifestyle where things actually start working in his favor. So if that's you, this episode is going to open your eyes. You're listening to the Inner Confidence Podcast. My name is Robbie Kramer. I've been a coach since 2007, and I've helped countless men rapidly achieve all of their social and dating goals. My mission is simple: to help you position yourself to meet stunning women, make awesome friends, en route to becoming the most confident and attractive version you can possibly be. I'm absolutely obsessed with giving you the most leveraged ways possible to win the game, so stick around, let's go. So welcome, Alan.
Hi, great to be here.
So I'm super excited because this is the first of a series of interviews I'm going to do called the Inner Confidence Files, where I get the story from guys in the community who are crushing it. I love our group because every guy's path is different, but has some of the same sort of milestones along the way, of course. You come from an interesting story. I think, a lot of the guys in the group are somewhat similar, but maybe the guys listening can relate. You were, and you still are, a Wall Street guy. I believe you were, married and divorced. And so give us your sort of background on, what led up to you joining the program. What were your thoughts? What were you doing? What was that lead up?
Sure. So yeah, I was basically in relationships, most of my life. I was, kind of doing game 1.0 in 2007, 2008, but then I ended up being in relationships and I eventually got married.
And you're a little older than me, right? Late 40s, early 50s-ish?
Yep.
So you were doing game 1.0 when I was doing game 1.0, which was probably, I got into this stuff in 2005. So about the same time for you?
Yeah, I was about 2000. Basically, I read the game, the actual book when it came out, and I was blown away by that. So I started employing some of the ideas there when I went to Brazil. That was interesting, just for like a surfing trip, and I was picking up girls. I'm like, this is amazing, So that was kind of geo arbitrage plus some of Neil Strauss's ideas. I saw that, this actually helps.
It's funny. It sounds like you had a positive experience right after reading the book, and I did too. And that's what actually kind of hooked me into all of this stuff. Like the night I finished the book, I went out and used it and ended up hooking up with a girl that was way out of my league and turned me into a believer right away.
I had literally the game with me. I had not finished the entire book, right? I'm in Brazil, and I'll tell you my moment of I was reading it, had the right. I'm like, this is amazing. Is this real? Is veal and mystery? They're really doing this? And so I started to apply some of these ideas and concepts. And the one that really sealed it is like I ended up picking up the hotel, the maid, pulled her into my room, and I could kind of see that she liked me, and we got on right there.
Wow,
this worked. It was a series of days. That was like on day 3. So like I had to kind of meet her and laugh with her a little bit. I think at one point I was GHVing to her, demonstrating high value. I was playing piano in the lobby at one point, so she really liked that. But yeah, then on day 3, she was near my room. I kind of pulled her in my room and like made it happen. I'm like, this is amazing. Like I'm sold.
And for anyone listening thinking, the maid, she probably wasn't attractive. You haven't been to second or third world countries where the maids are smoking hot.
Absolutely.
First time I was in Poland, I was in a smaller city, not a smaller city, but most people haven't heard of it. It's called Wrocław. It's like maybe the third or fourth biggest city in Poland. And the maid cleaning our room was a 10. Like, we're like, me and my buddy are like, what is going on? We thought we were in the Twilight Zone. Like, how is this a thing? Right? Like, this girl would be on every like magazine in the US, but here she's a maid.
I remember roast off there were supermodel like cashiers at Burger King. Like, oh,
Mhm.
would you like fries with that? And like, "Well, yeah, I want whatever you're selling.
So yeah, that's great that you had that, first initial win. After my initial win, I had like 3 months of just devastating losses, but it didn't matter. The win was enough to keep me hooked.
Oh, for me, like this is it. Something like a light bulb. Something is here.
So you did the game 1.0 stuff and then got married.
Yeah, I ended up, I had a bunch of success from all of that. I ended up dating a few different women. One of them I ended up getting into a serious relationship with and married. And then, that relationship will lasted about 10 years. So, yeah.
What caused the relationship to fail, and what happened after that?
Oh, what caused it to fail? Honestly, COVID. COVID was pretty messy with a lot of, everyone being indoors, stuck. I don't know. Like it just kind of grew apart a little bit. I think we saw a little bit too much of each other during COVID. I don't know.
If you knew what you know now, was there anything sort of like frame and game related that eroded?
Yes, what I know now is even bigger and badder than what I knew originally. Because in game 1.0, I think I knew enough to kind of make some success happen, but I didn't necessarily know all of the mindsets of what was going through women, what they're thinking, what they're feeling. Now I think I do understand it all. So yeah, I mean, if I had known everything I know right now, sure, then we may still have been married.
Yeah, it's interesting. Game 1.0 was all about like tactics and strategy and how do you get this outcome? And I feel like game 2.0 or whatever we want to call it, modern game is way more about like understanding evolutionary psychology, understanding what drives behavior, understanding really what women want.
What do they value? Like, and understanding their mindsets. What are their actual attraction triggers? Like, what do they actually like? How do they actually feel? Like, what triggers their feelings? And then it's
yeah.
so much about being a better person too. Like, literally, like game 2.0 is harder to fake. You cannot wear black nail polish with a fuzzy hat and just go around like that. Doesn't work anymore. That worked in 1.0. The 2.0, you got to be a really good product actually, and market, and position it.
Oh, you need everything. You need you got to be a better product. You have to have better marketing in a better market. And the last multiplier that I like to talk about is doing it with a team, a brotherhood or, a group. So we'll get into some of those ideas, but
I think a lot of the stuff you could get away with in the kind of game 1.0 days. You could fake it, whatever. Social media wasn't really a thing. So there wasn't really like this whole social media resume. Like, no, people made decisions on the spot.
yeah, no online dating either. It was just like,
That's right.
yeah, cold approach. There was like OK Cupid and Match.com. There weren't really apps or anything like that, right? So you could have good like digital game. You could be like a great storyteller and use that to woo women and whatnot. But so you got out of your relationship, and what happened next? You were on the apps, or what were you doing?
And so I started. I joined one program. It had sort of mixed results. Wasn't really that excited about it, but it did expose me to the apps and like how to run some scripts and stuff like that. And like, okay, it was okay. It wasn't great that program. But I learned a little bit about online dating and went on some online dates. Hinge, Tinder. I didn't really like the dates much. They weren't really high quality. Yeah. And so then I think I left that program, went to a different program that was all about Instagram. And so they were like, online dating is generally terrible. It's more for women to just get attention. It's super frustrating for 90% of men, don't really get results with online dating. Maybe if you're top 5% of guys, you could really clean up. But yeah. And so then, that second program, their whole idea was about Instagram. And like, oh, well, that makes sense. And then around that time is when I really started to understand and see that Instagram essentially is this sort of social like vetting platform of people vet each other, not immediately either. So they can look at your grid and all that, but they're going to vet you like over, the span of months. Imagine someone vetting you like for 5 months, 6 months, seeing your stories. They really start to now understand who you are because that cannot be faked. If you're actually putting stories on Instagram over the span of 6 months, There's nothing fake about that. Like, you are definitely demonstrating your personality and who you are. And I think people, women especially, start to actually use that as a vetting tool. Like, they literally delay the process of decision making to now say, well, let's see what happens.
Yeah, Instagram has made it so much easier for the advanced guys and so much harder for a beginner guy to get results. Like when Instagram started becoming very popular, 2015, 2016, 2017, I was sort of in my heyday of, game, so to speak. I'd been studying it since 2005, doing this stuff nonstop. I had a crazy social circle of women, both in the US and abroad, because I'd go to Europe every summer. And then once Instagram came out and I was able to sort of document what I was doing, like me at a party here, me on a trip there, me hanging out with these people, like now all of a sudden I was able to connect with all the girls from all over the world that I had to manually text before, and just ain't nobody got time for that, right? Um, and just with before COVID, when everyone was traveling everywhere for pennies and it wasn't a big deal, I just had so many option because I was advertising that to all the girls in my network that like, wow, Robbie's here and he's there. I want to come. And
Think about what you're doing. It's not a text message. You're actually advertising visually with a picture, visually with a video. This is amazing. Like, this really shows what's going on. Totally. And it's very impactful. And are you going to trigger feelings in girls? Yes. They're feeling what you're, living.
yeah. At the same time, for the guy who, you know, has just gotten out of a divorce and isn't on Instagram, right? Like going from there to the thing that we're talking about, like that's not, you can't fake that either. It's insanely difficult because first you got to get pictures, and then you got to know how to post the pictures and what to post and what outfits to wear, and then you got to figure out how to use stories and how to do this and blah blah blah. So
That's right.
and that's one of the things obviously that I help guys do when they join the program, right? Like I'll have them fly in for a day. Maria and I will take them shopping and then get a bunch of photos and have like the Instagram resume, so to speak, that you were calling it, done.
Yep. That's the first phase of Instagram. You have to kind of build out your grid, and that's basically, gives you some credibility. So when a girl sees you, oh, okay, yeah, this guy qualifies. He looks like he has a reasonable lifestyle.
And you had a pretty decent resume when we started working together. We did some improvements on that and whatnot.
So right, but just so you understand, I actually started my Instagram basically when I was on a trip in Europe, like when I was in Warsaw, and so my Instagram is basically, maybe 2.5 years old. It's not very old.
Oh wow.
I had maybe 10 followers. Throw away, I was doing zero, nothing with Instagram, and so it was on that trip that I said, "All right, I think I'm really gonna start doing this." And that was with me even being a photographer as well. So like, I was already a photographer. I just wasn't really like posting anything.
Right.
Know that this was important.
Well, it's just weird too for guys. Like, I think you and I grew up in a time where it was kind of like cringy to like self promote or post a picture of yourself. Like, I remember being on Instagram and Facebook, even MySpace, and I was like, wait, I'm supposed to post photos of myself? Like, who wants to look at a photo of me? Right? Like, maybe my mom. Right? But, and that's obviously changed.
Exactly. I think people want to see it. They want to see it. Like, yeah, and so it's okay. To basically say, if you to have no presence on Instagram, I think you have to be super advanced to not be on Instagram.
Oh yeah. You have to be like almost you almost have to be a celebrity who is like anti social media as a role in like personal health or something, or mental health.
Exactly. But you have to have other assets in this thing that are so big that, yeah, you don't need Instagram. That's fine. But I think for most people, Instagram is essentially how a lot of people get vetted, they get qualified. You know, yeah, because a lot of women will basically, say no to a guy from their Instagram. Like, oh no, like I've had girls tell that to me when they were kind of figuring me out. They absolutely looked at every single photo of my Instagram.
Show me a girl who doesn't have multiple Instagram profiles. Like they all do. They've got their main one, they've got their hacker ones where they are not hacker, but the ones where they check, and their lurker profiles, I guess you call them.
They can lurk, they can see your stories potentially without really, sitting without looking. Exactly.
So you're 5'8", um, Wall Street guy, successful. You're probably not thinking after your divorce, I'm going to run around New York City and do a bunch of day game or hit the bars and clubs. It's not really your jam. You're not having a lot of success on the apps just because, like you said, there's 5% of the guys at best crushing it on there. Um, what are your thoughts from there? And then how did you get out of that lack of a funnel, so to speak?
Abundance breeds more abundance. So you do need to get to the point of abundance. And so you need to find a funnel, something that can get you out of this scarcity mindset. And so for me, that was seeking, right? So seeking was my abundant funnel that I was able to leverage quite a lot. And seeking is a very loaded word. It's not all about sugar dating. Can be, seeking is this petri dish of a lot of different things. It's larger than Match.com. It's larger than Hinge, larger than Raya, larger than the League. All of these things, definitely way way bigger. There's all sorts of women on it, and yeah, seeking is an abundant funnel. You will definitely have a bunch of experiences on seeking.
Well, it's funny because when guys come into the group, and I think I've done a pretty good job of attracting, the right type of guy. It's got a lot of guys like you, guys typically between 35 and 55, successful, living in a decent sized dating market, or they quickly move to a decent sized dating market where a site like Seeking actually has some legs and has some options. And none of them, you know, want to be sugar daddies or think of themselves as, oh, I want to use sugar. I want to do that. Right. But quickly we teach them how to use it in a way that's not that. And very quickly they get to a place of abundance because they get dates with attractive girls they wouldn't have gotten using online dating or cold approach. They get reps and experience on those dates, and we show them how to navigate it so you're not really paying anything at all. And that gets them out of scarcity.
That's right. Yeah, that was my story, and like literally, I've used that same thing with two other guys in our group. I pushed it on them, and they're like, "Oh my god,
Yeah. Why didn't I listen to, these guys sooner?
yeah, you know what I'm talking about, right?" Yeah,
Oh, yeah. Well, nobody wants to use it at first because of the stigma. And they think it's going to be a certain way, and then they realize, oh, it's not like that at all.
absolutely right. And I think it's seeking basically from a girl's point of view, seeking functions as a way to find high value men. Because, and I think the ratio in different markets, it could be either 3 to 1 or even 4 to 1. 4 to 1 girls to guys. This is the only type of platform that's like this. And frankly, if I'm going to party in a club, I like to be in the VIP section where, yeah, it's 4 girls for every guy. That's a place where things happen.
That's where you can succeed. And it's funny because I've been talking about seeking as a strategy kind of publicly on this podcast. I think I started talking about it in like 2020, 2021, and a few of the other dating coaches, friends of mine, were like, "Don't tell them about seeking. Don't tell them, right? Don't tell the world because it'll be ruined for us." Um, and I guess not enough people either watch the podcast or care, or the stigma is too strong to where me talking about it has made a dent, or has stopped it from being effective. And I think it'll continue to be effective just because of it's just misunderstood. And so many guys, you know, don't want to try it or don't know how to use it and don't think it's an option. But it's crazy with a small amount of really focused and intelligent effort. You could literally go from having nothing to being in a place of abundance. So it's pretty profound.
I absolutely that's what you did for me. And the thing is, like, so seeking is not the end of everything either. You can actually get, but it helps to bring that abundance. Then from there, now you have a reasonable platform to operate. Just now, your abundance, great. Now you can start to build that social circle.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a great bridge.
Right. I call this. You need short term results or something that like gets results fast, which is seeking, while you build out your long term world domination plan. And the world domination plan is like, okay, this is going to take months, if not years, maybe 5 months, 6 months, something like that, where and it's going to be a little bit of, it'll definitely be a little bit like a hockey stick where there's just going to be a lot of iteration like in social circle where you just kind of keep correcting, and you eventually correct a lot of variables, and then like it becomes quite compelling, and then all of a sudden you've got this amazing social circle that is now giving you fruit. But and you've met other guys as well, valuable guys that see the value, and they want to be part of it as well. Now you're really cooking with oil, or whatever expression you want to say.
Cooking with gas, right?
Yeah, now you're really cooking with gas. Exactly.
For people who've listened to my show for a while, they probably have heard me talk about hunting versus farming till the cows come home. But it's such an important strategy because seeking, online dating, approaching, that's all hunting, right? And most guys are attracted to my content because I am all about social circle, what I call farming. But the important thing, which most coaches never tell you because they're just trying to market for social circle as the thing, is, you can't farm until you can hunt. This is the crucial thing. And there's a lot of guys out there that want to sell guys on social circle and talk about how great it is and poo poo everything hunting because nobody wants to hunt, right? But you can't skip hunting because if you just farm, you might have, you'll be in a buffet, but none of the fruit will allow you to eat it.
Right. And not only that, because the fruit will see that you're starving, and that's not attractive.
Exactly.
So you're literally a starving farmer planting seeds, and you're like, oh my god, I hope this is going to work out. And when the crops are there, they're like, oh, look at that guy.
Yeah, because through hunting, exactly. Like when you go on a series of dates, whether you get them from seeking, cold approach, normal online dating, however you get them, right? You need to start succeeding on those dates and you need to, have success with women and have those experiences so you build your frame, right? Because if you have no frame, if you're just a rich guy who threw a big party and got a bunch of hot models to come, but that all the women could tell that like you're a pushover, you have no backbone, you're dorky, you can't hold a conversation, you can barely dress, right? They're not gonna be interested in you. They're like, thanks for hosting.
I think the big one is neediness, right? So they can feel that you're needy, right?
Yes.
So when I'm running my circle events now, I'm not needy at all. I'm really not, because I'm already pretty abundant from my other funnels already, and so my whole mindset with social circle was basically, I'm planting this and I don't need to eat from it. Not for a while. Like I don't even expect to eat from it. Just keep planting, keep watering, make sure it gets plenty of sun. And frankly, like that's the right frame and mindset, because when you're that way, I'm just very giving. I legitimately am not trying to like steal anything from these girls.
Well, that's the whole thing that about social circle is you never want to game your crops, right? Like, because the second you do that, now you're the hunter.
And they feel that. They feel that. Oh, he's just trying, he's putting pressure on. Oh, he's just trying to do this.
Right. But when you control the ratio and there's way more women than you, like they start chasing you and they game you and they literally like beat down your door saying, choose me, pick me.
That's right.
Again, whatever it is. Like I've seen guys in the group do it with seeking a lot of the time. I've seen them do it if they really want to lean into cold approach, whether that's during the day or at night. We've seen them have success with that. Some of the guys who just happen to be sort of more Chad-like and, they can use online dating and depending on the market, have some success with that. But still, social circle is very misunderstood. It can overwhelm guys. And I think you've done a great job of kind of methodically, slowly but surely, leaning into it more, figuring out your shtick, and we'll talk about what that is in a second, and really like carving out a little niche in New York City. And so what was it that attracted you to my group, and how much of that social circle, idea was appealing to you? Like what did you need to sort of bridge the gap from, the seeking sort of hunting you were doing to what you're ultimately doing now?
Well, I will say this. So for sure, I was attracted by the ideas in social circle and all that, because I knew that I wanted to figure that out eventually. I mean, to keep moving in that direction. I liked that you actually understood seeking as well, because I feel like this is a very, very small club of guys that actually get it. So like that was massive because I was already kind of understood seeking a little bit. I wouldn't say I was an expert. I'm actually way better at seeking now, like being in IC than I was in the beginning. Still in the beginning, I was still I had no I had zero. No one was telling me how to use seeking. Nothing. I'm self taught, right? Because literally no other group, nothing. No one talks about it, right? So that you even, oh yeah, yeah, we know what this is. Wow, amazing. So that was a massive selling point for me as well. The fact that you got that. But yeah, I do view IC. This is essentially the third group that I've kind of graduated up to. And this is like, very advanced, like PhD level. There's some really advanced things happening in IC that a lot of other groups just don't understand. And so that's very attractive to me because I felt like you're customizing to every guy as well too. Like there's no like cookie cutter like we're gonna do, I don't know, just Vegas style partying in clubs and bottle service, like because that's not for everyone.
Right. Well, yeah, I really enjoy working very closely with clients on a, ideally a weekly basis to figuring out like what is the right recipe for that specific guy, right? Like how do we get him into an abundant place with hunting and build that up so you never need social circle to fulfill your basic needs? And then how do we then slowly build the social circle up to where you never would even think about hunting again because it's just like, yeah, why would I do that? I mean, hey, maybe you see a girl on the train and you say hi to her and you guys trade Instagrams and she's part of the social circle funnel all of a sudden, but it's not like you have to go out and, scavenger for food.
Right, and I will say this as well too, because it's you can even kind of go back and forth. You can even use social circle within hunting as well too. So now imagine you meet a person or a cold approach or something, but now what you're doing is you're bringing her into your social circle. So now it's everything. You're hunting and farming and like what's going on, and
Right.
like well, this is really powerful.
Totally.
All right, and so and yeah, that's the ultimate. Now where you're kind of leveraging both.
Right.
Yeah, and what I like about farming is that it's just very, very widely applicable to anyone and everyone, right? So it's like, the problem with anything that's online, it's just literally whoever happens to be on that platform, and that's it. Like if you wanted to meet someone else in the population, like no, they're not there, or you miss them, they're out of line. But if you're throwing events, you're doing social circle. No man, the whole city is my marketplace potentially, right? Like if I run into them, I can invite them. I see them out, whatever. Like I got this event that going on. I can, um, it's amazing. Like they don't. I'm not just meeting them in this one specific online. I don't know what you would call it, like a like ghetto or I don't know. I don't know what you call it. Online dating. It's just very like you only. It's a small set of the population, really.
Right. Yeah, and again, I mean, what you said earlier was so important. Like, women have a major problem with online dating is they don't know who's real or not, and that's the one thing that Seeking solves for them. Just from a price point, the paywall on Seeking keeps all the guys out who are broke.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. And sorry, this is the other thing too. I would say distinguish between like a seeking or online dating versus social circle, which is that if you are a particularly attractive woman, you're not even on these things anyway.
Right.
Not for the most part. So really, the only chance you have of meeting them are really in social circle. Like because they're just navigating by she just lives her life. She looks at her Instagram DMs. She sees a lot of invites to all sorts of things, and she's navigating via her friends, like where friends are inviting her to. And it's like, all right, if you're not part of that, if you don't figure out how to fit into that, you're never going to run into her.
Exactly. Yeah, the girl you probably want to marry and have kids with isn't a avid Seeking user. Maybe she, maybe after a bad breakup, she gave it a shot for like a few days and then realized that she didn't need it because she's got a lot of friends who go to a lot of high status things and they invite her, right? That's most eights and up experience with any online dating. It's like they try it for a second because a friend recommended it and then they realize like, wait, I only want to meet guys who are already vetted. And so they stop using it. But it's so important for guys as a stepping stone to improve their frame, improve their game, get some abundance under their belt. And the thing is, it's like if you want to ultimately attract your highest quality companion who's got both looks, personality, and makes your life better, makes you a better guy, right? You have to stop putting women on a pedestal. And you can mentally tell yourself you're not going to do that, which doesn't help, right? The only way to stop doing that is to hook up with women that you would consider 8, 9s, and 10s, right? You need to have success with enough hotties to where hot women no longer intimidate you. It's like, oh wow, there's a 9. Cool. That's awesome. I wonder if she has anything else going for her besides her looks, right? And if you haven't had success with any 9s, you got no chance with that girl. She's going to be able to smell it, right? You can't fake the funk. So you literally you can get yourself to that place of the confidence and the success with a 9 or a 10. Even if they don't have a person, you just have to be able to score with those girls. And you can do that through a site like Seeking, right? And that's going to be very hard.
Oh yeah, you want to go through this desensitization process, right? So it's like, because most guys, when they're, if they're just starting out, like, oh my God, she's so hot, and like they're 100% sensitive, they're absolutely going to put her on a pedestal. They're basically like, this never happens. This never happens. Like lock on, like whatever I can do, and she feels all of that, and that's completely unappealing to her. She wants nothing to do with you, right? She kind of wants the guy, that it doesn't want her so much, is what I would say. It's not really needy.
Exactly. And the other way to hack that is to go to, a second or third world country where, the women don't realize their value based on their looks, right? If you go down to Colombia, and you and I know we got a few guys down in Colombia right now who are killing it, but they wouldn't be doing so hot in the US because there's way more competition in the US, right, than there is in Colombia. But down there, right, they'd be, those 3 guys, maybe somewhere around the SMV of a 6.5 here in the US. Down there, they're like 9s, right? And so they're able to attract that from a look standpoint down there. And the beauty of that is they can go down there, they can have that experience, and they can use that to desensitize themselves, right? Because it doesn't matter if it's a Colombian girl or American girl or Ukrainian or German or English, like there's still that unconscious level of, I'm not worthy of this girl because she's so beautiful. But once you've had girls of that caliber of beauty, that goes away.
Absolutely. I mean, I've been with pageant winners and like models, and like it's pretty epic.
Exactly.
It's amazing. And like does it desensitize me? Yes, it does. So I definitely feel like, so now when I'm doing social circle and there's models around me, I'm like, no, they're just people, and that's fine. I'm able to talk with them, and even make fun of them a little bit, and like just have normal conversations. Don't really, I don't simp for them at all. Zero.
Exactly. So tell us now, let's sort of transition into how you went from, understanding social circle was important to really using it as a vehicle.
I did a lot of hunting. I got abundance from hunting. I then put a lot of, I don't know, some work on Instagram in terms of doing some stories and all of that. And then really the next level after that is to now use Instagram more as a funnel. So no longer as a resume, but as the actual funnel. And where to use Instagram as a funnel, now what you're talking about is Instagram ads. All right. So now you're saying, okay, so now let's have an actual campaign. Let's actually try to throw an event where we're going to advertise it. We're going to advertise the event, and to even do this with other guys well too. So there's there's 2 of us.
Well, what about this? What about just using Instagram ads for dating?
What do you mean by just, like a personal ad? You mean, or
Yeah, and I know the answer obviously, but like,
exactly. Yeah. This works basically in like 1% of the cities in the world, but
right. In the Philippines, it works. In Colombia, it works. In, these passport bro stamped destinations of being good, Thailand, you can literally run an Instagram ad saying, who's in Bogota, with a photo of you like in front of a landmark, and girls will respond to that. And it'll work way better than online dating, which is.
That's right. You need, okay, that will work in New York. You know what it has to be? It's basically, it's you being Leonardo DiCaprio with a little personal ad on Instagram. Hey, I'm Leo. I'm here in New York. Anyone want to like meet up? All right, that'll work. So that's, if your SMB is already basically that, if your SMB is 9 or really, really high, maybe a personal ad might work. But honestly, like even in New York, like everyone's got a million options. And like really what I think, the what is valuable to women is like cool events. If they think this is a cool event, they want to come.
Yep.
So if you're advertising a cool event, that's actually in demand, right? It's like, there's a saying that basically, dick is cheap, right? Nobody wants dick.
Right.
It's like, you know, girls want other things. The dick is ancillary. I don't know. It's a byproduct almost.
Easy to get. Offered on every corner.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But going to like a really cool event where there's photographers and I don't know, lots of other amazing women and guys, that's actually somewhat rare, and women want more of that. And that does not have a dating frame at all. I mean, this is why it's also good. So when you're kind of advertising events, this is not a dating frame at all.
And the key about social circle is you can't do it alone, right? You can't host an event and be the only guy there with 15 models, that just, they get bored, they leave.
That's right. So you definitely need to find, I would say for social circle, ideally you can find at least one other guy that really has the same mindset. And honestly, just two guys, you will push each other forward and it'll be kind of exciting. I found that in my situation, like he was just massively motivated, aggressive, and we're both willing to run a lot of ads. To be honest, we ran a lot of ads in New York, and we got people to come out. We got people to join our group. So that was, we kind of curated this big list of people, mostly women, mostly hot women, but some guys as well. But not too many guys. And frankly, if the guys did anything weird, then we would kick them out. So if they were super promoting of themselves, we would get rid of them. Trying to keep it all aligned. And then we would throw events. We would throw events on basically hotel rooftops, right? Like a lounge. And we would call it a mixer. It could be anything. It could be a business mixer even. We'd have different themes for these different events, like different like topics or whatever. It can even be talking about business. Nothing to do with dating, that's for sure. Just people, meeting up.
And it's funny that I feel like maybe the average guy who didn't understand any of this, he would ask himself, like, why does that work? Why would girls rather go to that than go on a date?
Yeah, I think that the value of the whole frame of date is already problematic. I haven't been on a date in a long time, to be honest. I've just been doing social circle events.
The guys and the girls who are in the highest demand don't go on dates. Like, dating is a relic of, people who are not doing well. It's a stepping stone, of course, like hunting is dating, right? But a date by default is a awkward encounter. It's an awkward thing. It's like we're meeting up with this sort of expectation that we're going to be like together forever. That's pretty pressure packed, right? And then like, do we kiss? Do we have sex? Like, what is all this, right? It's like, I don't think dating was really a thing until like, I don't know, the mid 1900s. Like people just didn't, like, when did dating become a thing? Because before that, it was just, you were either in an arranged marriage, you met someone, in your, in like on the feudal farm where you lived, or, it was only like the nobility and the royalty that even got the chance to like get married and that whole thing. So that's kind of like a whole.
It's a little bit even like that. If you go, like I was in Bucharest in Romania, and basically, they don't date a lot there unless you basically are in a relationship. So it's a little bit strange. And basically, the locals, they kind of decide they want to be in a relationship, and then they date, and that's it. Exactly. They're not really into casual dating. Like
You have sex first, and then you have sex a few more times. Then you're like, oh, we should go out in public together. We should go for a meal now that we know that we enjoy each other's company behind closed doors.
yeah. So yeah, there's not a lot of casual dating in some other markets. Basically, is what I'd say. So the West is, I don't know, it's a little weird. Honestly, I feel like dating is somehow like this weird activity that's somehow associated almost with online dating, because I don't know, man. Like I feel like online apps and dating somehow go hand in hand, but like they're both not very great. I think they're not If you do social circle, you're doing a group activity, it completely takes all the pressure off because basically, essentially, a woman can feel she has the option to kind of move closer or to retreat back into the group and then to even talk with other people as well. So that kind of safety as a group is very appealing, I think, for women.
For sure. I mean, it's basically both sides can vet the other side over a long period of time and then decide if they're interested or not. You can develop a crush, right? Like as a guy, if you want to get the highest quality companion, you need to allow that girl to develop a crush on you and let that crush turn into love.
That's right. And Instagram, I would say Instagram stories and all of that, that is part of it. That's the online version of all of this. So that just keeps it warm. And I will say that like it helps keep all this stuff alive.
And men develop a crush on first sight, right? We fall in love at first sight. Or fall in lust, at least in first sight. Women, it takes a little longer. It takes sometimes if you're the right flavor and she's on the rebound or whatever, it can be fast. But
Yeah.
we don't all look like Brad Pitt, so we don't have that luxury either. But they absolutely can develop a crush on us if we're a decent product and we do the right marketing in the right market and surrounded and have many attempts to let that develop naturally via a social circle.
That's what I realized with social circle is that I realized finally like, oh, I am enough of a product because I think what online dating, if you first start out with that, you start to really question like, oh, I must really suck. Like I'm not a good product.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just so riddled with rejection. And as women aren't even really testing to see if you're a good product. They're like, I see 900 of the same product. How the hell do I know which one's good?
So they make arbitrary, kind of very low quality factor decisions of like, oh, I didn't like his look or his height or whatever, and then like, but they don't know who you are at all. So, but yeah, with social circle, you start to have these deeper conversations and all that, and you're realizing, oh, look, like you can have an amazing conversation with an attractive woman, and like, oh, I'm enough of a product actually. Yeah.
So you started hosting these events, building a large group of women on Instagram, and you started connecting the dots. And one of the biggest dots that there is to connect is what I like to call game recognizes game, right? So most guys don't have game unless they're in a relationship, and then they're useless because they're not on the market anyway. So they, it doesn't do a lot of good to collaborate with a guy who's in a relationship because they're just not driven to create any opportunities and throw events and do sorts of things. There's the occasional guy who just loves being in the limelight. But guys who easily get women can very quickly spot other guys who do the same, typically because they have women with them and they show up with a good ratio. And those guys also have what's called a dork force field, meaning they can easily recognize the guys who don't have game. And it's almost always easy to recognize that because when a guy comes into their orbit, they ignore them as the guy and they just try to hit on the girls, right? And as you get better and better and more skilled, you realize it's not about the girls, it's about the guys. Meaning if I meet one guy who's got a ton of girls and I just become, in alignment and friends and a value add to him, I might not need to worry about meeting girls ever again.
So okay, so I'm going to use the analogy of what War of Warcraft or MMRPG. Okay, so when you're encountering an attractive woman, okay, that's like +1 gold, whatever. Like, okay, I got one. Okay. When you encounter another guy who gets it, that is game recognizes game. That guy honestly is like +30. Like, it's really, really valuable. Like, it's so valuable because that guy you can build things with. Um, attractive woman is great and all that, and maybe she could be part of the circle and all of that. But it's like there's actually there's a lot of that out there. But yeah, the game recognizing game, when you find another guy who gets it and you realize that, oh, you guys are aligned, you want to build, that is so massively important because a barrier to entry with all of this stuff with regards to farming and social circles, like there is a fair amount of things to do, and it's kind of too much for one guy to do.
Oh, completely too much. I find the best setup is 2 or 3 people and then a bunch of supporting characters. guys who pop in for a weekend and they want to hang out and contribute.
2 or 3 people are kind of board of directors. These guys call all the shots. They really are directing it. That's fine. You can have supporting people as well. They're just literally taking direction from me, and I have that already right now. I've got guys that are helpful, and like I just tell them what to do, and
Exactly.
they are supportive roles in this. But yeah, but yeah, I mean, I think that trying to do social circle as a solo operator, this is why guys don't do it. It's like, oh my god, it's so much work, and frankly, it's better when you have your at least one other guy. Way better.
And that's why it's so important to, you know, first learn these skills and then be able to collaborate with these other guys. And that can be very difficult if you're not like in a group like we have, or if you're, if you're not in some sort of female relevant, market or career, right? Like,
Absolutely. I'll tell you the one of the guys I was building this social circle with, he's not in a group, right? But you know what he did? He's a smart guy. He basically took an AI model and he threw all of Dan Bilzerian's content through that AI model to train the AI on Dan Bilzerian, and then used that to ask questions like how to do things.
interesting.
Basically kind of built a virtual AI Dan Bilzerian, like from all of his books and stuff, just so that he could kind of ask questions about how to do social circle and how to like navigate.
Oh, wow. Smart guy. But he was in, wasn't he in a relevant group?
Yeah, okay. So like he was a little bit, but honestly, even that group is not like that. Didn't give him that much value, really. It
Right.
still didn't give him like it told him a few of the right things to do, but a lot of it is the mindset and like if you're here in New York and all that, like what do we want to do? How do we want to position ourselves? Like what are we trying to I don't know, what's our brand basically? And even like he and I had to work on that a lot actually to figure out like what is our message and brand. Because I mean, there's different kind of niches to try to conquer in any city.
For sure.
Yeah, that's where the AI helped, asking questions and, I don't know, just trying to figure out how to build a social circle that's sort of Wall Street, friendly, I guess. Like basically you can be the Wall Street guy and you're also running a social circle and they're always consistent.
So if you're a guy who's like listening to this podcast or watching and you can relate to this and you're, whatever stuck in whatever sort of phase we've talked about, how do you feel like them, either working with me in our community and working, together would benefit? Like who should do that? What are some other things that people should do? Like,
Well, I think you're amazing. Look, you are so important to all of this because you're an amazing strategist, and so like having like a 5-star general that can basically tell you the right things to do in terms of like a future plan is really really valuable because again most people are just kind of like hobbling along in life. They don't really know what's the next right move to do. And so I think you've seen so many things, you've lived so many things that your advice is quite helpful in that strategy. I mean, you offer a lot of good micro advice as well too, but I would say that your macro advice is like really like quite important. And I would even say that a lot of the other groups out there, they don't even necessarily offer that macro advice, like thinking really long term. There are some groups that had no idea about Instagram. They're not pushing that at all. They're only pushing online dating. I'm like, that's silly. Some groups have no idea about seeking as a fast funnel to basically really get an abundance. Okay, well that's like a missing piece of information. That's good to know. And
Thanks for saying that.
It's very cookie cutter. It's just very cookie cutter, right?
yeah. And that's kind of how I see
You're this like custom tailor, to be honest. You're making custom suits for people that fucking fit. Finally,
and that's what I like to do.
that fits New York or fits Columbia.
For such a long time, I guess I beat myself up, or I was trying to build this group into like a huge thing, obviously, because that's what most people think of success. Oh, I should build my business and grow it big and lots of clients. And what I've realized over the past couple years with working with a lot of guys just like you is I would rather go super deep with a guy and create really custom, like bespoke solutions and work with way fewer guys and have those guys be more aligned and get those guys to like work together with each other than sort of be this like CEO type who's like telling a bunch of coaches like, hey, get these 9 guys to like approach a bunch of girls every week or build their dating profiles, like doing all the usual boring stuff. Like that's just not what I want to do, because I love to geek out on a guy, be like, okay, what's your stick? How are we going to take these specific skills that you have, apply those to your social circle, apply those to your Instagram and social media?
And in that particular market as well. That's the key thing. It's like, what market are you in? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I think, look, if you're trying to have this massive scale, then yes, you're going to use very basic tools and things that are out there that apply to everyone. And honestly, I call this kind of like lowest common denominator, like mediocrity. Really, it's like it's mediocre. It's just very, there's surprisingly a lot of dating coaches out there that are pushing online dating. Like,
Well, it's shocking to me just how many, you know, absolute losers there are of guys who just aren't doing anything. And they literally hire a coach because they're like, oh, I don't know how to set up my online dating profile. It's like, you need a coach for that. But like, they're just watching porn, hanging out, not doing anything. And they need that initial stepping stone. And that's obviously not the type of guys we're looking for. Like, the guys in the group are, absolute beasts. They're better than most of these dating coaches to begin with.
that's true. I see was the absolutely by far the most advanced group that I ever was part of, because a lot of guys were already getting laid. Like they already had success. They just want to have an even bigger success. So this is already like great, because a lot of the other groups, if you were the guy that got laid, that, oh my god, you're amazing, you're advanced. I'm like, okay, but yeah, maybe you want to do more than that.
Right. Yeah, we had a virgin recently, and now he's no longer a virgin. But he was mentally, you could say he was quite advanced.
So absolutely. Yeah, most of the guys in there, the guys in IC are beasts. They are super advanced compared to any other group that I've ever been in, for sure.
What's next for you? Where do you see, this cool social circle you're building and how it fits into your life? Like, what's next for Alan?
I found additional guys that I think are aligned, and so we're just going to keep building this social circle for sure, and throw bigger and bigger events. Um, that's that's the idea. Potentially this social circle may go international at some point, which is I've had even some other guys in IC also express interest. They're like, yeah, man, do this here as well. Like let's run your stuff here. They can head it up or whatever. And now we have like call it a distributed social circle, even of like it's kind of all connected.
And how does that fit into your life plans of what sort of relationship do you want down the road? Any kids, anything like that?
It's an interesting question because I don't know whether I want to get married again. Maybe, but honestly, it's like this is it could go either way, because when I got divorced, I'm like, oh my god, quick, get back up on the horse, like just get back up and like keep going. And honestly, if you achieve enough abundance in life, and if you've you know basically hooked up with nines and tens, man, come on, just like pageant models, and like I don't know, man, like this isn't so bad at all. Like if I don't get married again, this is not bad. It's really not bad.
And a light bulb's going off in my head right now, because I'm thinking of a lot of the guys in the group who have the best success. And there is a very strong set of guys, just like you, who were divorced, don't really want to be married again, either already have kids or don't necessarily want to have more kids, or kids at all, and who just want to like live this lifestyle. And those are the guys that do really, really well, because they're not like, oh, maybe I'll shut down my whole operation because I really like this girl, right? And
So your operation gets successful enough that, okay, you can get married here, and then some guys realize, wait a minute, I can just keep going. And then all of a sudden the operation is amazing, and you're like, I don't want to shut this down at all.
yeah,
Like I'm good. This is great. And then, I mean, honestly, as long as you're operating your life mission, that's the key thing as well. Like, you need to be on mission, doing your thing, making success, like having a great life, that's satisfying and all that. Yeah, whether you get married or not is, debatable. You don't have to get married. That's what I would say. There are guys that I think that are doing this, living out their life mission. They're busy, and they don't even have to get married, but they still have a great life, great social life.
For me, it was I wasn't ready to get married or have a family or do any of that stuff until I felt like I was the absolute man, right? And call me shallow, whatever you want to call me, but I knew that if I didn't listen to those, shallow things, I would have one foot out of the door in any relationship because I literally got bored in pretty much every single relationship I was ever in. A relationship that was monogamous and I didn't have the other options. And even actually the ones that were non-monogamous. Like eventually I got bored of the girl and that sabotaged the relationship. So I knew that like if I didn't sort of cross everything off that validation checklist and do all the crazy stuff that I had dreamed of doing, I would never be happy in a relationship. It took me, from I started this stuff in 2005 as like a 22-year-old, 21-year-old, and it took me until 38, so
I would say this basically: build such an amazing, epic life where you are having sex with amazing women, and then maybe you get married, maybe you don't. But you know what? It doesn't matter because your life is amazing.
yes.
And you're doing things that basically, a 25-year-old version of you is like, I would never even dreamed of that. Like,
And as an insurance policy, if you're not doing that, like let's say you don't do that and you get lucky and you land your dream girl, like the odds of you keeping that girl are very low because you're not going to have the frame to keep her around. She's going to realize like she's the best that you can do and hypergamy is going to kick in and bye-bye.
no, it's not okay. It's not about it's not even just about like landing the fish. Like, oh, you got the fish to come on the boat, but it's like, well, wait a minute. Actually, you're not going to kill the fish. You got the fish on the boat. Now you got to keep the fish alive for like 30 years.
I love that.
The fish might die. Fish might leave. Fish might jump out of the tank.
You got to build a crazy tank on that boat or on land.
It's not about getting the fish on the boat. That's like the first piece of the puzzle. But it's way more complicated than that. Yeah.
I love this metaphor. You got to build a whole ecosystem on land for the fish to enjoy. Otherwise, it can just go back in the sea.
Yeah. Yeah. Fish is out of there. Found something, someone else better, but whatever.
Found a better yacht.
Exactly. So I'm also saying like build something so that your life is so amazing and plentiful and abundant that whether you get married or not, it's going to be amazing either way. And I think I see guys in IC that are like that. They're really the top guys. It's almost like whether they get married or not is not like they're having a great time either way.
Yeah, it's not about the result or the relationship. It's about becoming that guy.
Yeah. And I'd rather be that guy and then get married from there because then that's cool too, man. That's fine. Like that's gonna be probably an amazing marriage and an amazing woman for sure.
It's like a guy with a very high financial IQ, right? He could lose all of his money and he's just gonna rebuild it. He's gonna be rich again a couple years later. Same thing with game.
That's right. Versus someone who like okay, lottery ticket winner is the opposite. Oh my God, I got all this money and I know nothing about how to make money. And often lottery ticket winners, they lose it all.
75% of them lose it all.
Exactly. So the guy who's self-made, he just undeniable. Become undeniable. Talk to Robbie. You become undeniable.
Become undeniable. Well, dude, that's a good place to leave off, I think. And thanks so much for coming on and sharing your story. And we're all inspired in the group of what you're building and keep on trucking.
Okay. Well, love it. All right. Well, great to be here. Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. And for anyone listening, if you want to see if you're a good fit, feel free to jump on a call with me. Links in the description, and we'll rock and roll.
Out of all the guys I know, the only ones who managed to consistently win the game are those who built and invested in a high-status social circle. You can certainly approach women and try your luck on the apps if you're a Chad, but those strategies simply don't work consistently to attract top-tier women and awesome friends into your life. But for most guys, the idea of building a social circle can feel overwhelming, so they continue to hunt for women in their usual ways and end up settling for a girl they were never really that excited about in the first place. To avoid this fate, join our community and instantly plug into a highly vetted social circle of cool dudes to network and navigate your journey with. You already know it's hard to find wingmen because the good ones don't stay in the game very long. Many of our members travel together, end up living together, build amazing circles, and even businesses together, both in the West and in many of the best locations around the globe with gorgeous women and low cost of living. I'm extremely careful who I let into this community, but if you feel like you'd make a good fit, you can apply to join. The link's in the description.